Don't give enough notes.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Monday, October 21st, Town Council meeting. And what would you like to do? Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So you will notice we have another person sitting with us today. To my right, this is Miss Brooklyn, who is an 8th grade student at GMS, and she is learning all about local government and civic engagement and women leadership. So go Brooklyn. And we have a couple of things that we're going to do prior to going to public comment. One is a presentation by the Weathersfield Rocky Hill Elks. And a donation to Wheeler Clinic. So I am going to call Mr. Policio forward. And there's a you have the microphone? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Rich Paul Policio, the chairperson of the Weathersfield Rocky Hill Elks Lodge Drug Awareness Program. To my left is Kim Kehoe. He's our exalted ruler. And to my right is John Spoonhour. He's the director of at Wheeler Clinic. Wheeler Clinic was with us from the very beginning on our drug awareness program. They do great work. They just opened a new facility in Bristol, and they help a lot of young people and other people that are addicted to drugs, which we had our drug awareness program, I think it was September 26th, and it was on YouTube. And like we always say, if we can save one person, it's well worth the effort. We had a good panel, and Wheeler Clinic's been with us probably 4 or 5 years in a row now. So we decided at our meeting to donate $200 to the Wheeler Clinic, and they're going to use it in their drug rehabilitation program. Right now, I'm going to ask our exalted ruler, Tim Kehoe, to say a few words.
I just want to thank the mayor for giving us the chamber for our drug awareness in September. You've always supported us, and we thank you, the whole town has. And I want to thank the town for that. And again, to Wheeler Clinic, who have sent panelists here for us. They're doing an outstanding job. And like we said, we can say.
John?
Great, thank you very much. My name is John Spoonhour. I'm Vice President, Marketing, Communications, and Philanthropic Giving at Wheeler. I'd like to echo the thoughts. Thank you to the mayor. Thank you to the council for having us here. Thank you to the community, and thank you to the 600 members of the Elks for their investment, philanthropic investment in our work and mission. I don't want to take too long, but I just want to say that I say investment because that's what it is. And what we're investing in with this donation is hope. It's hope for someone who just decided that today is the day that addiction has cost them too much. Today is the day that they are going to pick up the crisis number at 2 in the morning when alcohol or drugs has become just too much of an issue. We provide hope in every single one of our programs, every single day. So I stand here myself, but I'm here with our volunteer board of trustees behind me, the 60,000 people across 90% of the state cities and towns that we take care of every year, my 1,000 colleagues who are lifesavers. And just a thank you. Thank you very much for the hope that you're allowing us to deliver every single day to the citizens of this amazing city and town, around us, the entire state. Just thank you very much.
Thank you, John. I would also like to thank Mayor Murata and the council. Mayor Murata was at our drug awareness program. She comes to every one. So thanks to the mayor, the town council, the town manager, and the town as a whole for always backing up the Weathersfield Rocky Hill Elks Lodge. So on behalf of the officers and members of the Weathersfield Rock Hill Elks Lodge number 2308, it's our pleasure to donate $200 to your causes with Wheeler Clinic. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your work, and thank you to the Elks. Okay, and now we have something that is not on the agenda, but we have a proclamation for National First Responders Day, and I'm going to ask the chief to come up and receive it. Okay, so October 28th is National First Responders Day, and we wanted to recognize everyone in the community who does so much, our heroes. And so we have a little proclamation. So first responders, including our public works professionals, our firefighters, police officers, emergency medical technicians, 911 operators, paramedics, and other emergency personnel, stand on the front lines of our community, selflessly serving and protecting the citizens of Rocky Hill, Connecticut in times of crisis. And whereas first responders respond swiftly and courageously to emergencies, often putting their own lives at risk to ensure the safety and well-being of others, whether in natural disasters, accidents, medical emergencies, or public health and safety threats. And it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Rocky Hill, Connecticut to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and other first responder efforts in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2024 marks the 6th annual National First Responders Day, sponsored by bipartisan resolutions in the U.S. Senate and House. So therefore, on this day, I do hereby designate October 28th, 2024 as National First Responders Day, and I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies paying tribute to our public works first responders alongside law enforcement, firefighters, paramedics, emergency medical technicians, 911 operators, and other emergency personnel to recognize these substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing the quality of life for all. So thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to public comments. This portion of the meeting is specifically set aside for comments from the public who are asked to limit their comments to 2 minutes. Any person interested in providing public comment via email should email publicmeetings@rockyhillct.gov prior to 4 p.m. on the day of the meeting to have their public comment read into the record. And so I will now open the floor for folks in the audience to come up. Remember to state your name and address.
Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Minority Caucus, Majority Caucus. Good evening. My name is Ed Charmont. I live at 431 Elm Street with my wife Trish. We raised 4 children there. The reason I'm out here tonight really is to let you know about my campaign, my candidacy for the 29th state representative seat, challenging Representative Wood. I want to first commend you. I've been in those seats where you're sitting right now. It's a lot of work. I don't know if everybody really understands how much you guys put into it on the committees that you have to attend, and all the work that you have to do to prepare just to be here tonight and review your agendas. But I do commend you, and that's part of the reason why I'm running. Is I feel like I have a lot of a good background on the town, having sat on council for 6 years, in the last 4 of those years as the deputy mayor, um, and chairing the important public safety committee. Through the pandemic, by the way, that was a very trying time for all the surrounding towns, for sure. And I think we did a great job with that. But what made me actually jump into the race? So I jumped in because I'm concerned about public safety. I'm concerned about smash and grabs, the car break-ins, the car thefts. It's not just speeding, but it's racing cars. The Police Accountability Act, I believe, needs to be reviewed, only this time with law enforcement at the table. If no pursuit, if no apprehension, if no detention, if no arraignment, if none of that is allowed, and it was going to work, if it was going to work and really stop petty property crimes from happening, well, I think it probably would have worked. It's an experiment that I don't think has proven out, because racing still exists, and all you have to do is listen to the rescue crews, the fire department and rescue that reports on public safety when they respond to motor vehicle accidents on our stretch of I-91. They're very, sometimes they're deadly, many times they're deadly, but they're far too often and they're far too serious, and they're hurting innocent motorists as well, not just themselves. Anytime an individual comes onto a property with the intent to break in to your car, your garage, your home, that's trespassing, that's invasion, and don't think for a minute that they couldn't possibly hurt you. They're prepared for that. So I do think we need to empower our men and women in blue. They're trained for this, to intervene on our behalf. But you know, in going around the neighborhood, knocking doors, and being out at events, something else has jumped to the forefront, and that's the affordability and the cost of living in our area. We are, if not one of the most expensive areas, the expensive area in all of America to live. Our utility rates are second highest in the country. Second highest in the country. And we surcharge them another 25% for good measure. It's got to stop. This is insanity. I'd like to bring some common sense up to Hartford. There are many other issues. Look, at public safety, we were very concerned about mental health. That's still an issue. We need to get funds out of the legislature that are already earmarked to the not-for-profits around the state that deal in mental health. They're not getting the funds. They're not being supported with their programs, as Wheeler Clinic would probably attest. They're just not getting what they need from the state in terms of funding and resources. So with that, I'm asking for your support. Early voting has already started here in Rocky Hill at the community center, and I did vote today, and I hope all of you get out to vote right away. It was a great experience. Good night.
Thank you. Yes. Make sure you state your name and address for the record.
My name is George Hallahan. I'm at 11 Henry Street, Rocky Hill, Connecticut. Am I allowed to talk about the firehouse project?
You can talk about anything you like.
Okay.
You have 2 minutes.
Okay. I'll talk as fast as I can. The fire department is very experienced, and I'm very proud of all of them. They work very hard, like a lot of people in this town, and there are some people that do not. But you guys, from what I see so far, look pretty good, sturdy. You know what you're talking about. I'm kind of upset on the firehouse project. Okay, I don't know if any of you have driven down there to see the property, to know how big it is. My concerns are, okay, it's a good project, but where it's going, I don't like. You got a lot of, when you're doing chemical fires and all that stuff goes in the air, and it's not going to go just down here and there. We got a farm that's starting on the corner of New Road there. There's a little farm there. The stuff's going to go on there. There's another farm down on Hayes Road, and there's uh, fumes do not just land there. They're going to go on the cars, everything else, and maybe do damage, and they're going to cause cancer. Because I know, for a fact that some of those chemicals cause cancer. That's what I'm worried about. We got a 55 and over complex over there. They're worried. That's my main concern. Now, what if Mr. Garrity, which I'm not cursing him, decides to retire in a couple of years? What happens to this project? Okay. Two, I feel there's a little bit of conflict of interest there. His friend, which I don't have a problem with, I'm just bringing it up to see what you people think. He's been his friend for 20 years. I forget the gentleman's name. They were talking on October 7th, and that's his friend, and they shook hands, and he's kept the price of what he's selling him the same for 20 years, okay? That, to me, would incent Mr. Garrity to take, that's his friend, and now you're bringing him on, the project to Mr. Garrity, Chief Garrity, okay? But I really, really honestly think that you should take this project somewhere else, because and then on Saturday and sometimes Sunday, there's a lot of traffic on New Britain Avenue. I can't even get out on a normal day. You always got to fight with somebody. And where are these people going to park coming from the up to the project there? You got places there that are pretty full all the time, CVS and everything else. So where are all these people going to park? How many people from these projects for the project are going to be coming at one time? 1,000, 500? How many people are going to be doing that? We don't know. Okay. So we got to have a way to where they are going to park. Got to have a way to, I just think it needs to be developed a little more on the idea. The idea is excellent, but I really think we should find a bigger piece of property and go ahead and then do the project. But that is not the area at all. There's a lot of accidents there as it is, and I'm investigating one myself. I know you haven't seen me up here before, but I've been in this town over 40 years. I've seen a lot. And I'm going to start communicating with you people more often because I'm very upset about a lot of things, including the planning and zoning, but that's another time. So anyways, that's my opinion. It may not count, may not, but just please think about it a little bit more. That's all. Put a little more, you guys done your homework. There's a lot of do's. Now I'm on the don'ts just to see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Rich Paul, Policio, 8 Washington Street, Rocky Hill, retired deputy chief in charge of training with over 20 years experience. One of the first things NFPA look at and the insurance companies look at is your training. When they come to rate the town for our insurance, which the lower your rating, the lower your insurance is. So we have one of the best ratings of any volunteer department in the state. When they come to stuff to determine your insurance and rate your department, one of the first files they go to is the training. So I'm 100% behind this. You might be able to tweak it here and there, but don't ever short the training of the fire department, or in that case, the police or the ambulance also. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard? Okay, we're going to close public comment. Moving on to appointments and resignations. We have something on the Commission on Inclusion and Innovation. Is that yours?
Not that I'm aware of. Right? No, not on our side.
No. Why is that on the agenda? Did you want? What? You Oh. Okay. Come on up.
Yeah.
Hello, Ralph. We didn't have any notice of this. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. So you have a vacancy, then we're filling the vacancy, presumably.
Councilor Cox and I, we selected, but we don't have the name, so that's why I'm like, we don't have the names, we didn't have the name before, so, we would like to put the name of Rafaela Kohler in, as an alternate for the Commission on Inclusion and Innovation.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're making a motion to make an appointment?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Is there any discussion?
Well, I voted
Oh, we voted early? Okay. All right. So all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right.
I know you were
Welcome,
there.
welcome, and congratulations. And we look forward to your service on the commission. We know you're going to do a great job. And we thank you. Thank you for doing it. This very, very important work. You're very welcome. Okay. And I just want to stay on appointments and resignations for 1 minute because I know, Ray, you had a question about Chris Duff's appointment, but that was already made. You were just thinking for paperwork purposes, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
When appointments
That's what I thought we were doing.
they're made, we need to send a letter.
Okay.
We need to identify who that person is replacing, what term.
So we're set now. Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you. Approval of the minutes, A Town Council meeting October 7, 2024.
Motion to approve the minutes of the October 7th meeting?
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Subcommittee reports, finance.
The Finance Subcommittee met on October 10th. On the consent agenda this evening, we have a lease purchase of a 2024 F-350 truck for the Parks Department. That's through Tosca Ford under the state bid. We'll be making 5 annual payments of approximately $12,500. It was part of the budget that we recently passed. So this is just the approval onto the consent agenda. We reviewed quarterly now. We're going to be reviewing the legal bills of the town. There were no real questions on the legal bills. One of the items that was a little bit different is there was a position we approved for the Human Resource Department. We haven't been able to fill that position, so we are using a outside law firm to fill that on an hourly basis. The costs are within the budget, and it seems to be working out so far. So we'll continue to stay up on that. Under the special revenue, special revenue, we had 2 items within the special revenue funds that we're going to take a look at. There's the CDBG grant, which has been inactive since 2018. It has an account balance of $172,000. It's a multi-town grant, and we're going to get some feedback on if we can use it in the future or if the funds need to be returned to the state. There's also an industrial park grant, $28,500 that's been inactive for 2005, and we'll be getting an update on that at future meetings. In our reserve for capital and non-reoccurring expenses, there was really only a handful of items. We had receipts of $500, and we had expenditures of approximately $38,000, 25,000 of them for the Board of Education, and 12,000 was for the Park and Rec for the pickleball court. And we did receive our pilot funding for $843,000, which was the amount accounted for in the budget. Overall, on the budget to date, revenues on target. Our tax revenues are slightly behind the benchmark. One of the areas we're going to be looking at is the motor vehicle and the real estate. The number of transactions on the motor vehicle part is considerably higher than the number of real estate vacancies. Mona and her team will be looking with the tax assessor's office to make phone calls, work on collecting those to get us back within the correct range. Conveyance tax and building permit fees so far, and it's early in the year, are about 30% above the target, which is a positive. We have received our KERMA receipts, distribution of approximately $23,000. On the expenditure side, most of our expenditures are on target. We are seeing some continued overtime on the police patrol, and that's due to vacancies, so the offset will be within the full-time salaries. We're running slightly ahead on the tree service expenditures, and again, that's the seasonality of those expenses. The town will be going out to bond shortly to finish the road project. I believe the amount of the bond is about $6 million. Later in the agenda, our finance director will go through our rating. I'll avoid that for now, let her have their speech there. Our next meeting is, I had my little note, is on November 14th at 6 p.m.
Thank you. Government ops?
Government operations met earlier today. Just a few updates with regards to facilities. There's a pilot program called Optimization Pilot Program with Eversource in collaboration with a company called Edu. It's funded by Pura, and there's a limited number of towns in this pilot. It's part of a demand response program during peak times for electricity usage. So essentially, it's when there's peak uses of electricity from Eversource, they can go to towns like us and slightly adjust our thermostats throughout the town buildings to kind of help the grid usage out. So they'll tie into buildings with automation systems and change temperature settings. And what the town gets, there's $31,000 of value the town for free energy audit advisory services for the duration of the program, and with online apps and building electric meters. It'll save energy and money for the town. The town's out at any particular time, so if there's a big event going on in the center and they don't want the temperature to drop on a really hot day, they opt out for that particular new person. We'll retain the equipment while it ends. The town has 6 buildings, 7 different systems, as there's 2 buildings that are looking to take part in this program. A couple other updates. The new rooftop HVAC unit at Town Hall is now working. The chiller at the police department is being changed out this week, and through the RLE project, which we've spoken about at prior meetings, there's still 1 more rooftop unit coming for Firehouse 2. With regards to our schools, all the projects for the summer were completed and are closed. That's good news. And for Parks and Recreation, the pickleball project is 100% complete. Bills are being submitted to the state for reimbursement. The Maxwell Park cricket field, the softball field had its clay stripped. They have put topsoil down and have seeded. You can already start to see grass growing there. They will be digging, going to begin digging out for the pitch with soccer season winding down. They are targeting to be ready for play in the spring. And Maxwell Park deck hockey court, they're going to be demolishing the surface. Hope to get in later this fall if weather cooperates to add a new fence and put down a new surface as well as adding basketball hoops. If they can't get to it this fall due to weather, it should be done in March. And lastly, going back to pickleball courts, they are getting quotes on lights for the pickleball courts just so we have this information. I don't think there's any plan at this point to put up lights yet, but they just want to have that information. And one other thing, there's a little bit of ARPA money left that was left over for the senior community center for when we purchased dishwashers and dishes. And so with the small amount of remaining funds, the town's getting quotes to improve the audio components in the main meeting room in the senior center. Our next meeting is scheduled, I believe, for November 18th.
Thank you. Public safety?
Public safety met this evening. Fire call volumes continue to increase. There's no particular reason why. It seems all areas of the responses have gone up a little bit. They successfully recruited 6 new members to the fire department. From the ambulance, our volunteers have updated their CPR training, OSHA and hazmat training. They recently, an opiate save. They used Narcan on an individual in our town, and it saved the person's life. That was very worthwhile. They've been offering CPR training at different community events that they've been attending. Through the health department, respiratory viruses have been increasing. They're ask us to continue to wash our hands, stay home if you're sick, and they ask to get vaccinations. They've also, excuse me, they also said that this fall it seems like there's a lot more tick bite diseases that have been increasing this past month. They take those serious and follow up with a doctor if you do get bit. From the police end, the police are going to be sponsoring a prescription drug take back at their police department on October 26th. So you could drop off your prescription drugs. No syringes will be taken at that time. Some major investigations that the police have succeeded recently. We had an incident in town. It started at the Motel 6, and an individual ran over into our town to a gas station. They climbed up into the ceiling area. After about 7 hours, they did get the individual down, and they did do an arrest warrant, and they did arrest him. They've also had success with some of the recent smash and grabs we've had this year in doing arrest warrants, and they've arrested several individuals for various crimes in that. That's about it. That's my report.
Thank you. Senior Liaison,
Senior Liaison hasn't met since the last council meeting. We meet next week, 10/28 at 5 p.m.
Land Acquisition and Farmland Preservation,
Nothing to report.
Liaison to the State Rep and State Senator.
I have a few updates. First, from State Representative Wood, the Connecticut DOT is announcing that guide rail upgrades will be performed on Route 3 southbound and the Putnam Bridge in Weathersfield at the I-91 northbound off-ramp. There will be right lane, shoulder, and partial ramp closures on Route 3 southbound in Weathersfield by the Putnam Bridge on this Thursday from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Also, Rock Hill has received over $12,500 from April through October this year from NIP sales. As our town manager, finance director, and our finance committee knows, the language of the modernized bill states municipalities must be using these funds generated for environmental or litter control projects. And then from State Senator Lesser, he mentioned the prescription drug take back day is this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at police departments and other locations statewide. Most events will simply accept items without question and immediately dispose of them in garbage cans or other waste receptacles. The Red Cross is seeking more volunteers who can travel to locations harmed by hurricanes and other natural disasters. Volunteers can help those impacted find safe shelter, access food and water, and receive basic health services. The national program is not for everyone. Applicants must be able to commit to 2-week deployments, but also offer opportunities to serve locally, like responding to fires and floods, organizing or supporting blood drives, or supporting the service to the Armed Forces program. Senator Lesher want to make us aware that rates of students smoking and vaping went up slightly in Connecticut high schools from 2022 to 23, based on the most recent data available. Despite strong smoking prevention and cessation efforts, such efforts may need further reinforcement in years to come. CT Grown is emphasizing that autumn is where Connecticut shines, and there are plenty of opportunities to explore our beautiful state. CT Grown recommends the state's many apple orchards for apple picking, not to mention apple cider and apple donuts, while they also highlighted the traditional carving pumpkin is actually called the Connecticut Field Pumpkin, perfect to select the right jack-o'-lantern for Halloween. There's also state corn mazes and other activities throughout the state. You can go to ctgrown.org for more details. And lastly, the Red Cross and Connecticut Blood Center are still seeking blood donations statewide, with recent storms in the southeast only further adding to a need for blood to help save lives elsewhere. If you can donate in the coming weeks, please do so utilizing redcross.org or ctblood.org to make an appointment. Thank you.
School Liaison,
There's no report tonight. Thank you.
CIP,
No meeting, no report.
and Economic Development Subcommittee.
Also no meeting.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. A, approval resolution lease purchase 2024 F-350 truck parks.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to old business. A, discussion possible action mission CIT contract. So we have an update we received tonight, this summary. And in speaking to members of both caucuses, it is, apparently there are a number of questions that still remain. And also they would like an opportunity to digest this summary because they just received it. So there is interest in sending this to a committee to take a look at it as opposed to having us as a council sit here and, have question after question after question. So if there's anyone who wants to make a motion or wants to discuss that,
I move that we refer this matter to the next meeting of the Public Safety Committee.
Second.
is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving to new business, A, discussion S&P Global Rating.
You guys are moving too fast for me.
There you go. Come on, we got 5 minutes. We're ready to go.
Actually, the bulk of this, of course, would be explained by our finance director, but this is the S&P Global Rating summary as a result of our interview with S&P for the issuance of the $6 million bond for the pavement contract that we will be performing. It's a credit overview, a review of what we have done in the past, what we're doing currently, and what we intend to do in the future. I'm just going to flip for my part to that last page to that chart, and then Mona can talk to the narrative portion. But on that table, on the last page, the lower the number, the higher the rating. So as far as our institutional framework, our budgeting process, the internal form of our government, we received the highest ranking of a 1. Our individual credit profile, our credit worthiness, I guess, would be almost 2. We try to get a 1s and 2s. So it's good, but we still need to work on that. Of course, our economy rating was a 1. What kept us at the current rating for a large part of that consideration was our economic development over the past few years. The many projects we're working on, the many funding initiatives that we're working on and continue to work on, and the some of the new development that has occurred over the past few years helped us get that ranking of a 1.0. Our financial performance, while very strong and worthy, could use some improvement. That was a 2 out of 1. Out of the total. What is the highest rank? Or the lowest? 4, correct?
5 is the
5.
lowest.
So we're doing very well.
And actually, that was one area of improvement, by the way, but I probably will dwell on
You'll
that.
talk to that.
We did do an increase.
Right. Again, our reserves and liquidity, that was an improvement also, and that ties back to our last budget, our last budget review, where the town council approved the reserves for future capital budgeting. That got us really, we were really impressed with the town council doing that. And if we continue along that line, we would hope, cross our fingers for potential increase in our bond rating in the next couple of years. So with that, Mona can go into more detail surrounding these ratings.
So I think since we had that page open, I'm sure you recall during the budget process, it was I think made it very known that what we had to do was work on things such as our reserves and focusing on our fund balance and so forth. So we did see from this review in comparison to the last, we were able to keep the AA+, but we're AA+ with a higher number. In fact, I'll go to some of the narrative that, we would have a potential of even going up on a higher level in the future. But we did gain a point on economy, actually. We did a great presentation to the Standard & Poor's with Ray and myself and our new economic developer sat in together. We also saw a 1 point improvement on financial performance, which is a reflection of what we did. We did the resolution to, the ordinance change to do fund balance to the 10%, and that was looked on favorably, as well as going in that direction of setting reserves. And I know it was a lot to read, so I'm really not going to go through the entire thing, I promise. But I wanted to highlight in credit overview, again, they acknowledge what we did with the conservative budgeting and looking forward with capital planning, that we had a stable financial performance, which is really what the goal was with all of these changes through the process. However, they do mention that our available reserves are comparatively low relative to those of similar rated peers and was a limited rating factor. So as much as we got ourselves in the right direction of doing reserves, we could continue at this rate, perhaps go a little lower. But if we were to continue and improve those levels, obviously we could have a higher rating. I was actually very thrilled with this. They tell us we have a steady performance. I'm just going to kind of jump on to page 3, which just talks about the downside scenario and the upside. Again, downside, if we were looking at the rating performance, if it were to weaken, of course, we'd have the risk of lowering. The upside is that the rating for the town's reserve levels were to increase, at the levels commensurate with those of the higher peers would be on the upside. So I think congratulations to all of us that we definitely did the right thing. The reserve policy was the perfect thing to do, as well as the fund balance for at 10%. I think we saw the reflection and are on a perfect track of where we should be.
Mona, did we just, maybe I missed it, did we mention what our rating was?
Yeah.
We did? Okay.
They have as a AA+. Yes.
Yep,
Yeah.
I know it's
Which
there.
is where we were.
With a higher number.
With a higher number. Yeah. I mean, we have no intention of doing any additional debt in the very near future, but if we were to go with another review, I think with the change in the economy and as we see the results of the fund balance, which is going to the 10%, as we start bringing ourselves a little higher, we would really, I think, be a good candidate to go to a AAA.
So when they do this rating in the circuit, do they already factor in the $6 million we're looking to go out to bond with?
Unfortunately, yes. So you'll see that debt, it did have to bring us in that opposite direction.
Right. But so when they say they're not intending to issue additional debt, that's because they've already are assuming you're doing the 6,
Correct.
there's nothing beyond
Correct.
that.
Yeah. And the $6 million is not optional. That was that $10 million referendum for road improvement, and we've spent the majority of it. So it'll be 100% by the end of the year. So we did have to bond for that.
Is that why the debt and liabilities is so high, the number?
It was that high before, but it didn't decrease. So we'll see if we continue to
Stays
not
the
do
same.
more debt.
Mona, if we were to bump up from AA+ to AAA at some point, what does that translate to in terms of differential in borrowing rates?
Well, so we would hope that at least you could see like a full 1 point difference in borrowing. And of course, we don't know, the rates are crazy now, and we don't know what we're going to get. We do our bond sale on the 23rd, so we'll let you know how that goes, but we'll have a better idea.
Okay, but as much as a
It
full
really-
point.
Oh, it could, yes.
I'm surprised it's that much. Okay, thank you.
Mona, just one question on the overall budget. If, and I've heard in the past, but if the budget is a flat budget, no tax increase, do they frown on that?
Not necessarily, because it would depend on, did your revenues, there's so many factors, so it'd say, would
As long
they
as money was
wholehearted?
going into reserves and CIP was covered and all these other expenses were being managed appropriately.
Right.
If it's a flat tax,
Correct, if it was
no
manageable.
increase, they won't frown on that.
They would not. They do, like I said, they're looking at the economy, they're looking at, I think what when you think of that, one thing to keep in mind, of course, is that you don't want to be at the point where you have become so stringent that you're at risk of going over. So if you're looking at these are your regular costs and contracts are going up and insurance is going up, but you get yourself budgeted so tight that if something, even slight like a bad winter or an extra storm would bring you at risk, that would reflect negatively because obviously that would be poor management. So we still want to build it with the funding to cover the cost.
Do they factor in tax abatement discussion?
Oh, we do have that discussion.
Yeah.
In fact, we presented those.
Yeah, we how I tell the story is, yes, we do have a policy, but as economic development director, I had never offered it. The individual, the developer would have to ask for it. And they like that, we don't offer it up front. But that was an integral part of this whole, of the economy section that we discussed. And they like that, they like to see assertiveness in the economic development side of it.
All right, thank you. Good job.
Anyone else? All right, thank you so much. That was phenomenal. Okay, so two more things. Mayor's report. I just want to tell you that I was filling out my calendar, and I'm just really excited because, since we have developed our Commission on Inclusion and Innovation, it seems like there are a lot of folks out there, doing a lot of good grassroots things. And I'm going to share some of those things that are coming up this Saturday. We are having a Saturday the 26th. We're having a Diwali celebration from 10 a.m. to noon here at the community center. And so I encourage everyone to come and see what that celebration is all about. It is actually the most important celebration in the community. And so please come and see. We're going to have traditional dancing. We're going to have food. We're going to have children talking about why Diwali is important to them and their families. We're going to have crafts, and it's going to be a really great morning. And if there are any teens out there or mature 8th graders who are looking for volunteer hours, we definitely need some volunteers. So you can reach out to me if you like, or you can look for the flyer on social media and reach out to folks. We're having an event on November 15th called Unite the Lights, another grassroots effort. And there's going to be luminaries. We're going to start putting the luminaries together, I want to say maybe this Friday. And on the 15th, they will be placed outside and lit as a way of sort of uniting the community. It's going to be a very, very nice ceremony. And then there are actually plans underway for an autism event. So a lot of really good things happening in the community, and they're happening organically. I want to welcome Flock and Herd. I don't think I did that at the last meeting, but it's a really great gastro pub that opened up on Route 3 Cromwell Avenue. So best of luck to those folks. This Wednesday, 7:30 to 9 a.m. is our property showcase. We're super excited for this inaugural event and to introduce Alondra to our business community. The Middlesex County Chamber held its annual breakfast with Coach Dan Hurley last week here in Rocky Hill. The Middlesex Chamber, as you know, we are a part of that, and they're doing wonderful things for our business community, and it was super well attended because everybody loves Jim Hurley, and then they also love Gino Ariema, which is the other huge breakfast that's always sold out. I had the privilege of going to two amazing events to represent our town this weekend. One was a book reading by an author and veteran by the name of Ron Farina, who was at the DVA, and it was just a very, very emotional, beautiful afternoon with Blue Star moms and Gold Star moms and veterans and military families, and talking about loss and grief. And there was a colonel from Belgium who took the stage with us, and he broke down crying for all of the things the American military has done for Belgium. And then there was an interpreter from Kabul who was seriously, seriously injured in Afghanistan, but he stayed with the Americans. He would not leave their side, a young guy. And he became a translator for the American military, which was incredibly dangerous for him to do that. And he was the last to be evacuated, the medical evacuation through the helicopter, despite being shot twice. And really, it was just an amazing, amazing afternoon. And the second event was in Glastonbury, and it was the U.S. National Malacamp Team Selection for 2024. There are these incredible athletes who perform two different types of gymnastics. One is to climb a wooden pole, and another one is to sort of dangle from these, I don't even know these things that they wrap themselves, sort of like a Cirque du Soleil show. Very, very, very young kids that are just phenomenally talented from across the nation. And they were competing, and I was there to cheer on our little Rocky Hill kiddos, which were just absolutely beautiful and super talented, and we wish them tremendous success. And then finally, speaking of success, Fall Fest was a massive success. Blows my mind how many people are there. And so I really want to thank our Parks and Rec department, our sponsors, our vendors. I want to thank Mac Daddy, the band, who was incredible, and then everyone who came from near and far to celebrate with us. And that's it.
My report is verbal. Second meeting of the month, if you recall. The first meeting of the month, I have a written report. Second one is
Gotcha.
verbal.
Oh, okay.
Just to follow up on the mayor's Diwali event, I know the library is also having a Diwali ceremony, I believe on the 23rd at 6 p.m. Open to the public. Just a quick update on the FOP contract. We did receive the T8 agreement today, which we submitted back on the 27th of September. So we're hoping, we assume we'll be here in November to discuss that FOP contract in executive session. Last Friday, the 19th, we had our first leadership symposium. I think it was very successful. The leadership symposium was an event to help train or open the eyes of our directors in town hall on proper management, how to treat people, how to identify different types of personality and treat customers a different way if depending on their personalities, and maybe what not to do or what to do or how to manage stress. I give credit to Dana McGee for planning that and working with our speaker, nationally renowned speaker, who has come here a couple of times in the past, and he loves coming here, so we get a deal. So hopefully next time he shows up, we'll have another great event. In December, we will be planning, or we have planned, we'll be holding our first an in-house strategic planning exercise with the directors and the second levels to work on an internal strategic plan, how we operate internally. Update on the plan of conservation and development. The deadline was 10/18 to receive submittals, and we received 0 submittals, so we will re-advertise again. It may be the $50,000 price tag. You know, $50,000 10 years ago was a lot of money, so we may have to look at that and maybe do some more in-house work. What else? Yeah, I think that will do it for me.
Thank you. All righty.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, we need a group photo with Brooklyn.